This is The Scoop for Monday.
I'm Sean Canan with the WMNF News headlines. A Tampa teenager has been released from Israeli military detention. According to a press release from the national and Florida chapters of the Council on American Islamic Relations, Mohammed Ibrahim was released Thursday. CARE urged the U.S. government to hold Israeli authorities accountable for what the civil rights group calls the documented torture, starvation, and abuse he endured over nearly 9 months of unjust imprisonment. CARE calls Ibrahim's release a long overdue relief for his family and community, but the group says the U.S. government must not allow the Israeli military's abuse of an American child to go unanswered. Florida lawmakers are digging into issues involving artificial intelligence. During that push, State Insurance Commissioner Michael Jaworski wants to make sure regulators can properly oversee the use of AI by insurance companies. Jaworski told the Senate Banking and Insurance Committee last month that responsible AI governance is crucial. Jaworski added, "I'm not an opponent of AI, but I do think it needs to be responsibly deployed. There are some companies that I think are doing it in a much more responsible manner than others." A Republican state representative filed a bill, HB 527, that seeks to ensure humans make decisions about denials of insurance claims. That bill is identical to a Senate measure, SB 202. The U.S. has some of the highest infant mortality rates among any wealthy country. That's according to the First Focus campaign for children. WMNF's Leah Burdick reports federal programs to help prevent infant mortality are facing cuts.
More than 180 national, state, and local organizations joined the First Focus campaign for children in the National Healthy Start Association in asking for the Trump administration to restore funding. Deanne Waddington is a clinical director for Reach Up.
I unfortunately think we will continue to see these high rates until we figure out how to actually fund and provide services across the spectrum.
Reach Up is a nonprofit organization in Florida that promotes and protects the health of pregnant women, infants, and children. She says her group has not faced cuts, but she is concerned that other Healthy Start programs are when mortality rates are high. You can learn more at WMNF.org. For WMNF News, I'm Leah Burdick.
A divided federal appeals court ruled last week that Florida can begin enforcing a 2024 law aimed at preventing children from having access to certain social media platforms. The court rejected arguments that the measure violates First Amendment rights. In a 2-1 decision, the appeals court panel granted the state's request for a stay of a preliminary injunction from June to block the law. The recent decision means that the state can enforce the law while a legal battle continues to play out. Attorney General James Utmeyer quickly posted on X that HB 3 is now the law of the state and will be enforced. The law prevents children under the age of 14 from opening accounts on certain platforms. Parents would have to give consent for 14 and 15-year-olds to have accounts on those platforms. Poll workers in Honduras have begun tallying votes as the country moves to elect a new president, only days after U.S. President Trump intervened in a close race with an endorsement of one candidate and announced he would pardon a former president. Voting was extended an hour beyond the original closing time in many locations to accommodate remaining voters. No major voting problems were initially reported by electoral authorities. Voters will also elect a new Congress as well as hundreds of local positions. Lawmakers from both major parties say they support congressional reviews of U.S. military strikes against vessels suspected of smuggling drugs in the Caribbean Sea. Their comments in news shows interviews yesterday follow a Washington Post report that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth issued a verbal order for all crew members to be killed as part of a September 2nd attack. The lawmakers said they did not know whether the report was true, and some Republicans were skeptical, but they said attacking survivors of an initial missile strike poses serious legal concerns. Democratic Senator Tim Kaine says this rises to the level of a war crime if it's true. It'll be partly cloudy and warm today with highs in the low 80s. Tonight, partly cloudy, overnight lows in the high 60s. Expect rain showers tomorrow morning with possible thunderstorms. It'll be windy with highs near 80 and slightly cooler on Wednesday. I'm Sean Canan with the WMNF News headlines.
This is The Scoop, recorded at WMNF Tampa.